I want to know your thoughts on if you could beat Bradley Martyn in a street fight.
Oh, that's not what I was expecting to get asked.
It's UFC championship night. You're walking out. Pick 3 people to walk out with from the world.
Probably along that same lines, I'd probably pick
Oh.
and give me.
I was about to say that. Said that. I can't believe you didn't say that first.
Epic. If I had to pick one martial art for a street fight, I would pick for sure. It might be a controversial take, but more people should be willing to like go fight people in the street.
If you were in college right now, is there a high school kid that could have beat you?
Come on.
No. I mean, I don't know, man. He had a hard time with you.
No, he was. Oh, all right. I'm different though.
I'll
Right,
say
you're
this.
built different for sure.
So the best high school kid around my weight is from Wisconsin.
I spin the mic up.
Yeah, sorry. So there's actually there are 2 brothers. Their names Cole and Connor Mersala, and they're freaking beasts, bro. So they're coming to Penn State though, so I'll be training them up. But those kids were like, most of the time you don't get bigger kids that are that good. Like the really competitive high school kids that can compete with the college and senior level guys are between like 125 and 150. Like they're smaller guys. You don't get the big kids that can compete at that level. But like I was saying, those 2 brothers I was telling you about, they're guys to watch out for. They're freaking good.
Well, what weight did you start before you came into college?
Ronan,
you weighed
please
a lot
introduce
less.
yourself, by the way. You're speaking on the camera for the first time. Welcome
I'm
to
Ronan.
Brundage podcast. Yeah.
And
Number
give
one.
yourself an intro the way you do on Nickels and Dimes.
I want to hear your Nickels and Dimes intro. Go ahead.
Dude, my
For
Nickels and
yourself.
Diamonds. I don't know what I would say for myself, but let's just say I'm the best looking co-host on Nickels and Dimes.
Whoa. Bold
Yeah, no,
statement.
it was a fan vote.
He's coming in crazy hot with the best looking guy. You said the best looking guy on this podcast right now?
Oh no, Nickels and
Oh,
Dimes.
the other one.
But
Even worse, man. And Kassar.
I mean, I'm definitely top 3 right now. I'm top 3 over there too.
We got 6
but-
dudes in this room. I don't know.
Well, top 6 for sure.
You're definitely top. I'll give you
Top
that
6,
one. I'll give you
for sure.
top 6. I was.
Matt Rife lookalike.
You know what? Not a bad doppelganger, dude. Yeah,
Matt Rife.
that's. Have you guys have practiced that one? You guys said that
Yeah,
before.
no, we've set that one up.
All right, comment below if you guys think he looks like Matt Rife. No, I had a great time on Nickels and Dime podcast about a year ago now.
Yeah.
Ronan is the guy behind the scenes.
You were
of-
in you were in the old studio too, right? You were
You guys
upstairs.
have a new studio?
Yeah, bro, it's way nicer.
Yeah, they
We'll have
took
you
over my
back.
house.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
man.
got it. Yeah, we got it. It's
Isn't that what
nicer
happens?
now.
You get like obsessed and you're like, let me just turn my entire room
Him.
into a podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly what happened. My master bedroom in my condo was supposed to be a bedroom, and I was like, I could just have a studio in here. It'd be way better.
That's awesome. And how did you two meet?
So I originally worked for Bo's apparel company called Scrap Life, and then Bo basically hit me up one day and was like, yo, I need a social media manager. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's set up a meeting. I'll think about it.
Yeah, shit and bricks. Like, oh my god, Bo just asked me to work for him.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much ever since there, I mean, I run all of Bo's socials, and I have to look at this guy for hours on end every day. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I liked Ronan because at first he was just a college kid, and I didn't have to pay him or anything.
That's awesome.
And I was
See
like,
that, Dan?
And
Hear that?
I was like, this is great. This kid's still finishing his degree, and he's doing all this work for me. And then he graduated, and he was like, hey, bro, like, we gonna make this? I was like, frick. All right, we're too good of friends at this point, so.
When they start asking for money, dude,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
annoying. Like,
I
oh my
know.
god, you want to get paid for
Shut
this,
up, bro. Like,
come on, we're having so much fun.
Like, listen, like I just paid for your dinner, bro. I paid for your
that's-
Chipotle.
I had beef sticks before, dude. They want to complain.
Come on, like, dude.
Look at all this
you
milk.
Get free
You
slave
get
milk.
free milk and
Kidding
beef
me?
sticks.
All right.
It's like, shut
grateful.
the fuck up. I know. Be grateful to be in our presence. No, but I love that you were just like hungry to work with a guy like Bo when you're willing to like make the sacrifice in the beginning. And look where you are now.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I always attribute it to be like Thomas Jefferson quote of like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I just felt like,
Did Thomas Jefferson say that?
I was about to say,
did.
you just pulled a Thomas Jefferson quote out. This
yeah,
dude,
dude, it's one of my favorite
Somebody
quotes.
check that.
this guy's a scholar. Bro. I would have never pulled a
just
TJ
playing.
quote out. No, that's cool, man.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a blessing 99% of the time. Macro gratefulness, micro frustrations. That's with every job. But
This guy's wise beyond his years. He's saying things that are sound
I
bites
hang
that
out
I've
with
never.
this guy and Tony like probably 40 hours out of my week, so
You learn a lot.
I
from
better
this,
pick
too.
up like something at this point.
Yeah, pretty impressive guys.
Trying to rub off on him a little bit.
Just a little
With the
bit.
Thomas Jefferson quotes. Yeah. No, so again, I'll give you guys a refresher of how Bo and I met. Long story short, Bo was the wrestling coach, I would have to say, for Jorge Masvidal at the time. Was in his camp, was at a UFC event. I saw him, obviously knew who he was. extended my welcoming, said hello, introduced myself. He was like, Johnny Drinks, love your page. I was in shock that he knew who I was. And we became pretty close since then. We trained together. We shot some content together. And then I was on the first podcast, which was spectacular. Funny enough, dude, like, and I wanted to say this to you, obviously the congratulations of everything you've been able to achieve and accomplish, but watching you grow as like an individual is so much fun. Like your confidence now when you walk around, dude, is just like unmatched. And not that you didn't have it before, but you know, it's just different.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have that air to you, which is such a good thing because you complement it with being very humble. Like, you know, we talk about how you're very faithful and, you know, your belief in God kind of carries you through. But just being able to watch your journey from afar has been incredible. And again, I'm the same guy. I watch it on TV. I'm still hyped up, cheering, and everybody's like, why are you jumping up and down for another man? I'm like, because that's my guy. So we're going to hop right into this really quick. Before we get into the UFC fights, I want to know your thoughts on if you could beat Bradley Martyn in a street fight.
Oh, that's not what I was expecting to get asked.
That's why I asked.
I'm confident. I'm confident in my abilities. I'm not 260. But I am a trained professional fighter, and I feel like, yeah, I would win that fight. But, you know, I respect Bradley. I respect what he's trying to do. I think that more people should be willing to, like, go fight people in the street. You know, that's something that is, it might be a controversial take, but I think that if you're not, like, willing to put yourself out there and just go see what's up, then, you know, I respect somebody will do that and lose more than somebody that's just not about it.
If you're going to talk that talk, if you're going to act like you're tough and be confident in your toughness, you got to be able to at least attempt and at least feel it.
Just
like,
get in a fight. And I feel like, more young men should just like get in a fight.
Yeah.
Like if you're a young man right now between 17 and 25, go fight somebody.
Go punch somebody.
Go pick somebody out in the grocery store that you think you can beat up that's not a woman or a child.
Yeah.
And see what happens, man.
16 and up. I don't care how old you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares?
Yeah. You know, as long as they're close to that, like, you know, consenting adult range, then you're good.
What's the worst that happens?
The worst that happens is you lose.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's
and
definitely
you learn something from that too. So
I heard Dana White, I reference this a lot, like training is literally taking the blue versus red pill. Like when you enter into the life of a quote unquote fighter, or at least you step on a mat, you realize how defenseless you really are in real world stuff. If an average Joe was walking by you and said, you know what, today's the day I'm going to fight somebody, and they pushed you in the line at the grocery store, like they're in true danger of their life. They have no clue. They would feel that pressure and be like, I can't do anything. I can't tap out. Yeah. There's no tapping out. There's no rules right now.
This is real life, man.
It's real life.
Well,
and
like
once you realize that.
Our Muay Thai coach Tan, is probably a good 165 pounds, and you see him like walking down the street like with a sweatshirt and sweatpants on. This looks like a regular dude.
Yeah.
He would like actually kill someone if he kicked him in the head. Like it's actually
scary,
nuts
man.
how hard.
Yeah. And I think the thing, nowadays too is you can't just be confident if you're like just a boxer or, you know, just a wrestler or something like that. Like you got to know multiple disciplines to be confident going up against some random dude in the street, because you don't know what they're coming with. Like they could be over at Culture, you know, training Muay Thai, training Jiu-Jitsu, like doing MMA, and you have no idea. Like you got to know multiple disciplines to be, you know, carry yourself in a confident manner. I feel like, at least.
You got one martial art to pick, and you're on the streets fighting. Which one is it? Ronan. Dude, did you hear that? Get him out.
I had to.
Let me ask you one more time for the
clip.
clip.
You had one opportunity.
You blew it. Get out. No. I'll ask one more time for the clip. You have one martial art to pick. To be in a street fight, which one are you picking?
If I had to pick one martial art for a street fight, I would pick boxing for sure.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Just because you're in the street, like you don't know how many dudes this guy's got with him, and you just gotta be able to knock somebody out. That being said, if it's like a one-on-one fight, wrestling for sure. But if you're just out in the street, you know, and some guy, like if I'll be honest, if some dude attacks me and like I can't get away, right? Like my first thing that I would do is I would just like, all right, I'm not gonna fight this guy. I'm gonna get away. But I would just knock him out and then get away. But I wouldn't try to wrestle him. That's how you get stabbed or get kicked in the head or something like that, man. It's no good. especially in the mean streets of State College, Pennsylvania. You
never
got to
know.
watch out. You never know what these guys got.
You got Ronans running around. Man.
Exactly.
That's funny coming from you. So you're first, and you know this guy wants to fight, right? You're squaring up in the streets.
Yeah.
He's all hot and bothered after the bar. He couldn't get laid, so he's picking a fight. He sees you. He sees your ear. He's like, I don't even care about this guy.
Yeah.
I push you.
I would box him. I would be throwing hands.
How
for sure.
Somebody pushes you? Are you throwing hands after?
If somebody shoved me, no. My first reaction if somebody's trying to fight me would be to just run away. I'm like, dude, like I don't need that. Like,
yeah,
come on, like okay. Best case scenario, I knock you out cold and you get up and we move on with our lives. Worst case scenario, I kill you. All right, and then there's a ton of terrible scenarios in between, right? Like getting arrested. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the first thing I would do is just run away. But if I couldn't run away, or there was some situation where like a guy was threatening my family or something like that, I would definitely just knock him out cold. Yeah, that'd be the go-to.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that never happens to you. But if it does,
I hope not. Yeah.
Now I know it's coming. I would expect you to say you would go for like some sort of takedown.
No, man, you can't these days. You got to be smart. I feel like again, start to take a guy down. That's when buddy comes in from the side, or you don't want to be on the ground.
No, you don't.
So you just get stabbed. Like I don't know. I don't want to get stabbed.
You don't want to get stabbed. You never know what happens like on the ground.
Right.
I was at a rave the other day, stupid, at Mirage in Brooklyn.
Nice.
It was fun. It was fun. But we were with like a bunch of girls or whatever, and I was having a good time up until the moment that I realized there are so many creepy men around these girls, and all I was doing now was playing security of like, I have to make sure this guy's not trying to pickpocket her or grab her ass or whisper in her ear, and I notice everybody's getting uncomfortable. My immediate thought is like, all right, if he touches her or does something a little bit above or over the line, what do I do next, right? If I take him down or I punch him and he's on the ground, there's 1,000 people around us. What do I do from here? Now I'm getting stepped on.
Yeah.
I run the risk of dying.
Don't be on the ground.
Don't be on the ground. Yeah. There's no reason to fight
Not
on
in
the ground on the street. Yeah.
No. If you're in a one-on-one confrontation and you know that there's nobody else coming in, then get him on the ground. Eliminate the danger. But other than that, just freaking you gotta throw some hands.
Punch and run.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to know. Well, let's talk about your actual fighting career.
All right. Less exciting, but
yeah, this is boring stuff. I want to talk more about street fights. Last fight, Cody Brundage.
Yeah,
I was excited. I know you after the fight weren't that excited, but then you kind of reflected on it and realized you did a little bit better than you thought you did. Talk me through the entire experience.
UFC 300 was so cool. Like that's such a iconic event to be a part of, and I think the whole week it was awesome. The people were great. My team was amazing, and everything went well. Weight cut felt great, and when I look back on the fight now, I really only feel positively about it. In the moment, I think that I just want to do something spectacular and want to do something that's like out of this world, type of thing. And I don't feel like I did that. I think that there were things that I wanted to do in the fight that I didn't, and things that I could have done better. But now that I look back on it, it's all learning experience, and feel like I was able to get a lot more out of that than I was out of my previous fights, just for having to fight longer and having to deal with, a guy. Like if I'm being honest, now that I look at it, he was just kind of trying to survive in there once I got him on the ground. Like he threw a bunch of stuff at me on the feet, which was good for me to deal with as well. But once we got on the ground, it's like he was literally just trying to survive. And so it's hard to finish a guy like that. But at the end of the day, I dominated the fight. I didn't even really get hit, got the finish, and walked out of there healthy, and so no complaints. But I think that for me, I'm just a very competitive person, and I'm more competitive with myself than anyone else. So regardless of the result, I just want to compete a certain way. And so initially, immediately after the fight, gave myself a little thumbs down because I wanted to compete a little bit better, but as I got further removed, I felt better about it.
So that was genuine, because watching, I didn't know if that was more of like, because there's a game to it, and you're playing into the game sometimes to be like, no, like I'm only happy if I'm knocking dudes out. It's kind of like when, Gordon Ryan says, well, I didn't tap him out fast enough. It's like, dude, you still won the tournament with ease. Like I thought maybe that was a little bit of that, but then you saw it on your face. You're a genuine guy. You're not playing games in those moments.
Not really. I just want to do something spectacular every time I get in there. And you only get so many opportunities to, go fight in a cage, especially an opportunity like that at 300. So, I want to just like blow the roof off the place. And I felt like I was capable of that, but I made some decisions in the fight that didn't lead to the performance that I wanted, and that's a learning experience. So the next time I'll just, make better decisions and be more prepared. And I think that experience in the cage is super valuable for me, because everything up until that point had been line them up, knock them down, literally zero resistance. And that was a little bit of resistance, which was good. Like, I still blew through them. I still dominated the fight, controlled them the entire time, never was in danger. But it just, I think at the end of the day, I can always perform better. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was pretty funny when he went like this after like that. I was like, dude, you're not even doing it. Like, he's clearly just not. He was, like you said, he was trying to defend himself as best
he was trying
he
to
could,
survive, which I get it. Like, that was his game plan, right? Like, you got, and that's fine. That was just another problem that I had to solve, and eventually I did. It just took a little longer. I think that when it was like this in wrestling, when people were, trying to like fight me, when people were trying to wrestle me, then bad stuff always happened to them. But when they would just like sit back and hold on and try to not lose by so much, it almost like looks worse. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of the situation. Once we got to the ground, it was like, all right, well, I'm not trying to get choked out or get my arm broken, so let me just turtle up. And I'm not really going to try to get away. So now that's what I'm dealing with. And so I did a good job of staying composed and just controlling him and waiting for my opportunities. So I was definitely proud of that. But that's just part of the game, right? Like, I think that if I get a guy on the ground, the more they move and the more they try to like fight and get back up, the worse it is for them.
Sure.
Like, if he would have been super active trying to get back up to his feet, he would have definitely gassed out super quick, and he would have given me a lot of opportunities to finish him in that first round. But he just stayed tight, which that was fine too.
Yeah, you gotta respect him, and that's not like a no-name fighter. You know what I mean?
Right.
He definitely knows what he's doing.
I mean, he's got a lot of experience. I mean, he had triple the amount of fights that I have, and it's something that, for me, the more time I get in the cage, the better.
Yeah. When you said you wish the fight went a different way, how would you have pictured it?
Well, I think that the only thing that I would have liked to have done differently is just been a little more in control on the feet, and like I said, just kind of made better decisions. There was a couple times where he was coming in, I was coming in, we were clashing, and I hit him once in the first round, and I wobbled him a bit. I was like, oh man, that was good. But I think that I don't want to be in that like 50-50 scenario where it's like, all right, we're just running into each other, and whoever hits who, like, anything can happen.
Right.
For me, the control is more important, and just get a little cleaner with the striking. And so that to me is the part of the fight that I was most disappointed in myself with, because I worked a lot, and I have worked a lot, and I think my skills are a lot better than what I showed. But again, it's that experience factor of being in there and having a guy come at me, trying to knock me out, trying to throw, stuff at me, and feeling it and seeing it and getting out of the way. And, so overall is like not terrible, but I would have just liked to been a little more relaxed and a little more less in a rush, I guess, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay. Well, speaking of experience and opportunities, the Khamazat call, is that real? You were really in the mountains and didn't receive the...
Yeah. So I was in Montana at a event called is the ARC competition. So Sig Sauer hosted an event, and it was for charity, where we basically ran through these courses that they set up for rifle, pistol, archery, and stuff. And I was just up there having a good time, the middle of Montana in the mountains, shooting some guns. And when I got back, like, what was it? Like, I was there for 2 days. So after that, I looked at my phone. I had a couple messages and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, what's up?" Called them back, and they're like, "Yeah, we offered, or you got offered this Whitaker fight." I didn't even know like that Khamazat dropped out, anything like that. Oh my god! So I like got all the updates all at once, and it had already basically everything had been settled, and my manager was like, "Yeah, we'd already talked about this situation." I told him I'm not taking short notice fights, like that doesn't interest me, and so he told him no. And they threw out a big number, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me, because I'm not interested in doing that. Like, I'm interested in fighting guys on full camp, preparing, training, doing everything I can do to be as well prepared as I can for this fight. Like, I'm a professional prize fighter. A lot of these dudes talk about like, I'm a fighter, this and that, I'm down for whatever at any point, any time. Like, to me, professional comes before fighter. And so that's the way I treat my career, right? Like I'm not going to put myself in a bad situation. And at the end of the day, like I want to be prepared and all in when I'm going out to compete. And if somebody thinks I'm a puss for that, all good. Like I don't care.
You're also new.
It doesn't matter.
You're like
Yeah.
you're new to the game. It's not like you're a seasoned vet.
For me, it doesn't matter. Like at any point in my career, it doesn't matter if I have 6 fights or 60. Like I'm preparing, right? Like that's just how I am. And like I'm 100% down to compete. I wrestled 120 matches in college. You know how many did I miss for injury, illness? 0. I didn't miss a single match in my entire college career for anything. And I had a lot of stuff that I had to get through to just make that happen. You know, people don't know this. I've talked about it on podcasts before, but my second Contender Series fight, I fractured my collarbone and basically broke my SC joint 10 days before the fight. Like I'm down to fight, but I'm going to prepare and make sure that I'm as well prepared as I can for these opportunities, because it's a big deal. Like I'm not just going to throw myself out there and hope I win. You know, it's not I hope I get lucky. It's like I'm training and dedicated and disciplined to give myself the best opportunity to be the best pound for pound fighter in the world. And I take it very seriously. So it's, now if people think that they don't respect that, then it's all good. I don't really care.
It would make 0 sense, especially a fight like that one.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
fight. Like
it'd be huge.
And at the end of the day, let's say I fight that fight and win. Now I'm fighting for the belt. For me, I want to get experience. You know, I'm not where I want to be skills wise in MMA, experience wise. Like all these things need to start to align. I believe in myself, and I believe I'm gonna get where I'm headed, and I know where the end is. And so now it's just filling in the pieces to get to that point. So you know, put in the time, put in the training, get the hours in, and continue to like master and perfect my craft. And it's no rush for me. Like I'm 28 years old. I have a long time, you know, before the end of my career, many years. And so it's no rush.
How big was that offer?
It was big. I'll say this. So most people would consider it life-changing money.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I don't
We're
personally.
pulling this number out of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't personally consider it life-changing for a couple reasons. One, I'm already well taken care of, my family and things like that. Like we live below our means and we're comfortable and happy. And 2, my goal is much bigger than that at the end of the day. And I know it's going to be much bigger than that. Money's not the most important thing in the world to me, but you know, it would have been nice. I would have bought a Porsche.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the number.
I'll tell you after.
Whisper it so that people know that I know.
All right.
$1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the initial offer too, so we probably could have got more.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So, like,
fair enough.
most people
But
consider that, like,
yeah,
like wow, like I'm there. But for me, it's
yeah,
most people would
different.
consider
Yes,
it, yeah.
okay, that's crazy.
Like we're taking that money, Johnny.
Listen, you throw me. I would fight a bear in a cage for that kind of money. But listen, it is. But like you said, there's longevity to the sport, and what does that do for you hypothetically if it doesn't go your way?
Exactly.
You're on a path to being a champion, and that's really all that matters right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me too, because I was talking about this with my wife the other day, and just about goals and stuff like that. And my goal isn't to be undefeated. It's like I'm not afraid to lose a fight or take a risky fight. My goal is to be the pound for pound best fighter in the world. But at the same time, my mindset and what I do and what I give up to prepare, it's like, why put myself in a situation like that? It just doesn't make sense. Like I want to be ready to go. And at that point, I wouldn't have been confident and ready to go going into that fight straight up. Like people talk, oh, anytime, any place, anywhere. It's like, well, if I'm going to sign a contract, like I'm going to train and be ready.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to just show up and you know, when I was a kid in wrestling, I learned those lessons. Like there was tournaments where I just showed up and was like, all right, I got this. And it didn't go well. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that the guys that beat me were better than me. And maybe they were better than me, but I regretted not being fully prepared and not feeling in my mind fully prepared. Like I gave it my all and I did what I needed to do. I don't want to have an excuse in my head of, oh, I took this fight on short notice. Like, oh man, like I'm either mad I did that or, oh, I should have won or something like that. Like I want to be all in. And again, it's not about the money for me. It's about, I love what I do. I love fighting so much, and I want to put everything I got into that. and find out how good I can be.
I mean, even from like the standpoint of a weight cut, like you look, what are you like 205, 210 right now?
Yeah, I'm
You
like
look big, dude. Like your forearms are jacked.
You like that?
Yeah, dude. Again, I'm like, holy shit. You put some meat on them.
Yeah. I've been lifting a little bit and stuff. I lifted like once in the last month.
Whoa,
I've
you
seen
lifted
this guy
once?
picked up like 4 weights in his entire life.
It's just God given. I mean, he has
God-given.
bear paws for hands. This guy,
guess,
you see how he grips this.
My wife
mic
always
is
makes
crazy.
fun of me because her dad. It's just funny. Like I think women always will compare you to their dad in some type of way. And my father-in-law is 6'4", 240. He ran a 4.3. He's like he got drafted by the Raiders. He was the fastest linebacker in the NFL draft.
Your kids are going to be specimens.
And so he's like a monster, right? And like, I'm not tiny, but I'm like 6'1", and he's definitely bigger than me. And so my wife will like say I'm like basically like imply that I'm small at certain times. And I'm like, I'm bigger than like 95% of the world. Like, I'm like, what are we talking about? Like 6'1's not good enough for these girls anymore. Like, you got to be
trust me.
Yeah,
I know. I just had the
It's
girl on.
crazy.
She said, I said, ideal man. She goes, it's like 6'6". I said, hold on. That's that door right there.
Yeah,
6'6" is not a real man. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, I've dated them. They're fucking great. I'm like, whatever. Moving on. Yeah, women
Yeah.
nowadays, these standards. Speaking of women, let's talk about your wife. I want to
Yeah.
hear the story from college. How'd you meet her?
Oh
How'd
my
you
gosh.
how'd you pull her? Because I know this is a pretty funny story.
Yeah. So, everybody buckle up. This is a long one. So, my wife was on the track team at Penn State, and funny enough, she's a year younger than me, and we were the same major, so we took a lot of the same classes. And so, my sophomore year, her freshman year, I walked into this class. It was a massive class, and I kind of sat in the back off to the side, and I saw this girl like up in the front, and I was like, who is that? And then she stood up, I saw her face, and then she had a track backpack. And I was like, oh, I know some people on the track team. I'm like, figure out who this girl is. I was like, that girl is like the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. And so I asked this other girl that I knew on the track team, like, who is this? Side note, the girl that I asked ends up marrying my best friend.
And
Yeah,
this
so
is
his
just
wife.
picture perfect.
Yeah, so long story short, they got married. But she tells me, oh, it's her name's Maddie Holmberg. She's a freshman, and but she has a boyfriend. And I was like, frick. And at that point, I just kind of was like, whatever, like I'm 19 or something, and it's all good. So fast forward, I guess 4 more years, my senior year, her junior year, we had seen each other like a few times, just, being athletes and stuff like that. Like saw her in Bible study, and again, I had friends on the track team and stuff. And so, but we had never like had a conversation or anything like that. We'd said hello, been friendly. And then my senior year, we get put into this class, and first day, she's in the class. I'm like, oh, go sit right next to her. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, chat her up a little bit. And then come to find out the class is like exclusively group projects.
Oh, man.
So it's just groups, and you have to basically present in front of the class. And you actually had to like build a business with your group that was centered around, we were both kinesiology majors. So it's centered around like health or sports or something like that. And, lucky for me, we got put into the same group. So now she's forced to hang out with me.
Man.
And so we're talking in class and stuff like that. And I find out like she's still got a boyfriend, same guy. Like she's been dating this dude 7 years now. And I'm like, well, I guess it's better to go 1v1 than 1v30, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so, but at this point, I'm like, just getting to know her and stuff, and I'm starting to really like her. And I realize, like, all right, like, I think this girl's like gonna be my wife. Like, I'm not even just like trying to date, nothing like that. Like this, like I'm gonna marry this girl. And so, long story short, put the work in. She denies me like 100 times. I try to ask her to go to get coffee with me, this or that. She just dubs me every time. It's like, nah. And, but I don't give up. By the end of the semester, I tell her, I'm like, pour my heart out. I'm like, listen, like this is how I feel. And, I got to tell you this. I don't know if it's going to change your mind or anything like that. And, but like I'm serious about this. And she's like, well, I don't really feel that way. And, if, what do you think? Like, could we just be friends? Like, and I was just like, it's not coming down to that. Like,
Oh, you were standing
yeah,
ground.
I was like, no, like basically like, she was like, well, we just had to be friends. And I was like, no,
Nah.
no, it's not happening. And then, so it took me a good, like six, 7 months of work, like to get her to break up with this guy. And then she finally, you know, broke up with him. And it was really more for personal reasons. It wasn't for me specifically, but I think that at the end of the day, like I was, you know, kind of speeding that process up a little bit. And but she had to figure, she made that decision on her own, and they weren't, you know, obviously each other's person. And yeah, then we started dating a respectful time after that. So we started dating like April.
The next day. I gave him like 24 hours. It was fine.
Yeah, it was, but officially later. We weren't on paper. It was a little later than
You're
that.
like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
talk about this tonight.
Mm-hmm. So we started dating like April. That would have been of 2019, and then got engaged January 1st of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, right away. I knew. I was like,
You knew.
well, it was funny because when we first started dating, she was like, well, what do you like see as plans for us? And I was like, we'll probably date for like 6 months and get engaged and get married. And she was like, what? I was like, well, what did you think? She was like, I figured at least a few years. And I was like,
Nah.
we'll see about that. And then by the time like it came around to, you know, about 6 months later, she's like, you're going to like propose or what? And then I was like, so she kind of, so my initial thing was like, I'm ready to go. And then it took her a little while to catch up to that. But then she caught up and yeah, got engaged, got married in December of 2020. And yeah, we've been married almost 3.5 years now. So
Man, new kid.
yeah, got a baby. Yeah, he's the best.
Oh my God, what a story! What a picture perfect story. I hope Maddie listens to this.
I know. Yeah.
Send it to her. I
will.
want to see her reaction.
Yeah.
When she hears that story,
Yeah.
because I'm sure she's heard it time and time
I always
again.
give her a hard time. I'm like, what were you doing? Like making me work that hard. You know?
So
Like, come
annoying.
on,
I mean,
like, it's
you're
insane.
Bo. You call your own shots.
Exactly, right?
Making you wait.
And then
making you
I get
sweat it
mad at
out.
myself too, because I'm like, I should have just went for it when, you know, you were freshmen. Like back then, we could have been married while we were in school. Like, you know, we could have like been doing this way earlier. But
Did he go to Penn State?
no, he went to the Naval Academy. I'm sure he's a good dude. You know, best wishes to him. Yo, I don't want to air this out, but I feel like
go
I
ahead.
have to.
This is
So,
the only. This is.
yeah,
If you're
so-
gonna do it anywhere, it's here.
yo, he actually DM'd me.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah,
Pull it
bro.
up.
I don't have to. I remember it off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Because it's so vivid. So it was like early in the year, early in 2019, and they were still dating. And Maddie texted me and was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I think my boyfriend messaged you on Instagram. Didn't want you to get caught off guard or whatever. And I was like, oh, all right. And I would have never seen it. But I was like, I'm going to go look for it now. And so I go and look for it. And I just couldn't believe it. He was like, hey, man, Maddie and I have had a great relationship for 7 years, and I would appreciate it if you respected that and left her alone.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
And I replied, oh, I'm such an asshole. I go, hey, bud, thanks for the message. Appreciate you. I think Maddie's a big girl. She can make her own decisions.
Oh my God.
And you want to know the worst part about
No,
that,
yeah,
bro?
I do.
So he got the message while he was with her, read it to her, and she agreed with me. And she was like, he has a good point. Like, I can make my own decisions. And he was like, can you believe this? Like, you believe what he said? Like, and she was like, that's actually a good point.
You know what? I'm actually gonna hang out with Bo right now. That was a really good job, Bo.
So it was already over at that point. It just took a little time to like
That was the
make the break.
That
But
was the last straw.
Yeah.
that was the nail in the damn
That
coffin.
was the
Did
nail
he
in the
fight at all? Did he train?
no.
Oh no,
So
he just
couldn't-
knew.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything.
Listen,
But-
some men go with their
Nah,
mom in this world.
it is what it is, and I feel so. I would feel really bad about it if Maddie and I didn't get married and have a baby and stuff.
Right,
I'd
if
be
you
like,
weren't-
damn,
yeah.
like I'm a real jerk. But at the end of the day, like she was my person, I'm her person. Like we were meant to be together, and I'm sure he has somebody that he's meant to be with too. And so this was the way it was supposed to go. And if I was on the other end of that, it would be like, all right, these guys are married, like they love each other, no hard feelings. Like I get it. But if you just do that and then it's like, then you break up or whatever, it's like, frick, like, that's messed up.
We've all been on the other end of that.
Yeah.
Hanging out with a girl you thought she really liked you. She stops talking to you, then like, oh, there she is with her boyfriend, and then oh, they're married now. Okay, cool. Well,
Dude,
listen, they're meant to be. That's
yeah,
fun.
it's meant to be.
That's
It's
good
no
for them.
worries. Yeah, good for them.
He's
Yeah.
probably so happy for you guys. He's.
I hope
he watches all
I'm
your
happy
fights. He's a
for-
big
I'm
fan.
I'm happy for him too. I hope he's doing well.
Nah, he's still punching air.
Nah, he's probably he's good. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, right? Bo's like the nicest dude until he wants your girl, and then you're screwed.
That was one time.
Man. Well, I have some questions for you. Bo's progress as a fighter, because you're there every day pretty much for training. What have you seen him progress the most with?
Oh, dude, his striking.
Really?
Gotten way better over the past.
So you're saying it was bad?
You're saying it was bad? You're saying I sucked?
It was bad. It was bad. And that's coming from someone that doesn't
I have
know
gloves
much.
if you guys want to.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think he's taken the discipline more seriously than it was. Obviously, coming from a wrestling background, you know, you're going to be good at wrestling, or at least I'd hope so. Winning 3 national championships.
I would hope so. Yeah.
And then the fact of it's a process to put it all together into the actual sport itself, mixed martial arts, because some people are just good at jiu-jitsu, some people are good at wrestling, but MMA is a whole different ball game. You know, you can't. There's a cage that you have to deal with. You know, that's a whole different style of wrestling that you haven't done before. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely made leaps and bounds and progressions over this past. How long have you been fighting? Like 6 months?
I've been fighting professionally
A couple days.
I've been fighting professionally for 2 years.
That's
Actually,
so crazy, man.
what's today? The 20th. So I've been fighting professionally. Yeah, for my first pro fight was June of 2022. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So literally almost 2 years.
Yeah.
When was that? Was the Contender series or prior to?
No, I fought one before Contender Series. So I fought in a promotion called Icon in Virginia.
Was that the long-haired guy?
Yeah.
That is a sick video.
Yeah.
Poor guy. But
that one was
for you
crazy.
was sick.
Yeah. So then that went like crazy viral, and then the UFC was like, "Yo, let's do it," and I was like, "Guys, I want to know," and they're like, "Well, we can get you on the Contender Series," and I was like, "All right, that works." And so did 2 on the Contender Series, and then next March had my first UFC fight. So it's been pretty quick, but
Does it feel quick?
super quick.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You know, I expected to get 10, 12 fights before I was even in the UFC.
Yeah,
And I was like, all right, I'm going to run through these not lower, but more regional promotions and kind of get a bunch of experience. And then I'm going to go to the UFC. I'm going to fight 2 or 3 times and take the belt. And then, you know, knock that dude out. And everybody's like, UFC, Bellator, PFL, ONE FC. They're like, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's sign you, sign. And I'm like, frick. Well, I guess I'm in this now. And there's 0 chance I'm getting any fights on the regional cards. Like, who's going to fight me?
Who's going to fight you?
Yeah, exactly. And so I just felt like it was, you know, a good opportunity. And I've always wanted to be in the UFC. It was, you know, those other promotions, I respect them. And I think there's a ton of amazing fighters. But I just felt like the UFC was my path. And, you know, it was a good choice. I think that for what I lack in experience, I just make up for with discipline and hard work and commitment. And, you know, I'm trying to like basically almost run before I was walking. But I think if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be me, just because I've competed at a high level before and I have that, you know, just readiness of, you know, knowing what I'm going to feel like and how I'm going to compete in front of thousands of people and on the biggest stage. And then I just train hard and I'm very disciplined. So I think that if anybody's going to do that, it's going to be me.
What is training? So like right now, you're not in a camp, so to speak. What does a day in life of Bo look like right now?
So, I mean, if I'm not traveling and doing stuff and I'm home, generally I'll get a session in the morning, like 9 a.m. Well, wake up, you know, maybe get a little bit to eat, 9 a.m. session, go for 2 hours, then get some more food, recover, maybe do a call or 2 meeting, and then go to my next practice, get another 2.5 hours in. And like morning is usually MMA specific training or striking specific. And then afternoon, I'll do more wrestling training. And then after that, I'll just, you know, hang out, eat some food, chill with my wife, chill with our baby, and then call it a day. It's like pretty simple life, but I like it. That's all I do. You know, add in film study, add in some recovery on different days. You know, watch a lot of film, as I said, and, you know, do PT, visit the chiro, contrast cold, hot tubs, massage. I just dedicate everything to optimizing my performance pretty much.
I think we talked about this last time. You like sparring, you're not always going live, right? Like how intense is a real intense sparring round for you?
You know, it's interesting. You can never go full live just because it's too dangerous. Right. And, you know, in MMA, you're wearing tiny gloves and, you know, you can get cut and clash heads, anything can happen. And so just like general sparring, there's already a big difference between because I'm wearing shin guards, knee pads, elbow pads, bigger gloves, and you know, you're not trying to knock each other out, right? Like, but it can still get pretty intense. It's like it's still pretty close to a real fight. But a lot of times I'm just working on stuff, you know, trying to develop like, all right, today I'm working on moving to my right and landing my straight left hand, or I'm working on, like controlling the lead hand, or, you know, like that's what I'm trying to accomplish. Like I'm not trying to beat this guy in a sparring round because it doesn't matter, right? Like it's not like that doesn't, like I beat this guy in a sparring round, so what? Like I'm here for development. I'm here to improve and get better. And so I'm working on specific things, or okay, this round I'm working on jab defense, like stuff like that. So I focus more on development than I do on like winning in practice, and that'll look however it looks. But for me, that's what I found helps me get better faster and helps me perform when I actually need to.
Now, is that different from like a wrestling practice? Like you can go full blast in a wrestling match.
Yeah, wrestling's definitely different. You know, I'm still I think working on specific stuff within the live and things like that. But sometimes with wrestling, it would just be like, this is full go. Like you're just going. This guy's going. He's trying to beat you. You're trying to beat him, and it's just like a real match. We would actually have real match simulations while we were in college. So a lot of times on Fridays in the off season, you would match up with a guy, and you'd come to practice like in a singlet and have a referee and do like a real match. Yeah. Same thing out of bounds, like you pin the guy, match is over, that type of thing. And that helped me a lot because I was able to compete in real matches against guys with a lot more experience than me that were better than me, and then figure out how to now go from, all right, I'm losing, to get competitive, to now win, to now dominate. Like those for me are really valuable. And I try to take like a similar mindset in sparring and in MMA. It's just tougher because you just can't go as hard as what you would in other sports.
It's hard to like mentally take yourself there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's just different, you know. You're not gonna ever I would hope that you never spar as hard as you would really fight. Of course it's just not, right? You're just gonna hurt each other. It's not worth it. Just too many injuries and weird stuff going on. And I think, so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the balance of that. The closest I've found is, you know, throw some big gloves on, like I said, elbow pads, knee pads, shin guards, and you can hit each other pretty hard. But, you know, still like you hit a guy with a good shot, then you're not like going in to try to kill him after. You're just like, all right. Like
there's a progression to it. Right, like it definitely, as I watch it, like I've watched thousands of his practice at this point. When they spar, like it starts to get like a little bit harder and harder.
I was going to say, have you ever seen him like really go after it with somebody?
No. I think that Ronan maybe thinks that I have, but I've
Ronan's
never,
like this?
Dude, you
never done that. Like we go, this is the thing. Like I've never hit somebody as hard in a sparring round as I have in a fight.
Who was the person who hit the hardest in a UFC fight?
In the UFC fight? I mean, definitely my second fight, when I knocked the dude out. I hit him with that right hook right off the bat. And it's so interesting. It just doesn't take much. But yeah, I had never hit anybody like that in sparring.
Who was that against?
His name was Val Woodburn.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like right off the bat, just feinted low, came up top, right hook. And it felt like I didn't even hit anything, but I saw him wobble and stuff, so I knew I hit him right in the jaw. But yeah, I think like probably the hardest shot in that fight was like I came down after I'd knocked him down, and I hit him with like a little bit of like I missed barely, but then I kind of hit him with my elbow.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty hard shot.
That was nasty. I remember watching that. I was here actually with a bunch of people. So we were like, nuts. But I mean, again, like those
I'm
are
not hitting guys like that in sparring.
Of course
ever,
not. You know? Have you ever seen him get angry in sparring?
No.
Really?
Like I don't think there's ever been like a time where like you and Moose go pretty hard at each other, but that's also like you're competing.
Yeah,
like,
me and Moose never get mad at each other. I've been mad in sparring. Like I think the only time I get mad in sparring is when we're going light and somebody like will hit you with like a freaking spinning heel kick or something, and I'm like,
dude, what are you doing? Yeah,
like stop. Like, like you don't throw like spinning stuff or stuff that's just like it's just reckless to me. I'm like, dude, stop. Like,
because
we're like, I get if you throw it and like pull it a little bit, but you know, I just see some guys that it's like you got to take care of your partner, in my opinion. And if you're not doing that, and some guys are just inexperienced, they're not able to do that. But like, I don't know. I've always just been more on the safer side as far as the sparring goes.
And so outside of that, again, like the wrestling matches, who's even there to give you a good look? Like, are you that much better than all your training partners?
Well, with wrestling, I'm still training with Penn State. So I still
are?
go in
Okay.
the afternoons. I train with the NLWC and Penn State. So, I mean, these guys are the best in the world, right? Like Aaron Brooks, the 86 kilo rep for the Olympics, and he's one of the main guys. Like I train with him a lot. And, there's a bunch of guys, college guys and senior level guys that are all multiple time national champions, Olympians. And so I'm definitely getting pushed in wrestling still, which is important to me because I want to stay true to that. And just, I think that for me, it's key to being the best I can in fighting is like, sticking to my wrestling.
Yeah. Any young bucks on Penn State that you're like, whoa, this dude gave me a good look?
There's a ton of really tough guys. I mean, every single guy is an absolute monster. If I look at the young guys that we have on the team right now, you got guys like Levi Haynes. He's super tough, national champion this past year. Mitchell Messenbrink, national finalist as a freshman this past year. He's on the U.S. national team, which means he was top 4 at the Olympic trials. So I think he took 3rd at the Olympic trials. So he's a beast. And then we got a ton of guys coming up. I mentioned the Mersala brothers. Yeah. They're from Wisconsin, but they're going to be coming to Penn State. Then we have this recruiting class that we have coming in this next year is maybe our best ever. There's a bunch of studs. There's a bunch of high school kids that we have committed right now that are absolute animals. Like it really impresses me the level of these guys. I think that they all really love the sport too, which helps so much and helps with that. Once you get to college, if you really lock in and you're dedicated, then you're going to pass a lot of people up that were maybe better than you or just widen that gap.
Yeah.
But if you're just there to like hang out and be there, then who knows what's going to happen? Like, eventually people that are really driven are going to pass you up. But I mean, I think that all the kids that we have that are young they have the right mindset. They're focused on their goals and they're doing the right things.
Well, I would assume that's the difference between a Penn State wrestling program or room versus, I don't know. I was talking to McKenna, like a Stanford room, and he was like, the difference is there are people in the Stanford room that are there that they enjoy wrestling, but they're there to get a good education at school. Whereas he went to then Ohio State, and that room was just those dudes were there just to wrestle. They didn't care what they did in school.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting at Penn State because I feel like we have a wide range. Like we have 35 guys on the team, and I think everybody has their role. Of course, you have the starters and the guys that are going out and winning national titles and stuff like that. And you'd be surprised. A lot of those guys are getting really good grades. They're on like academic honor roll and stuff like that. Like a couple guys that when I was on the team, Zane Rutherford was like 3.9 GPA. Jason Nolf was like 3.8 GPA. These guys were really smart.
Nolf's smart, huh?
Yeah. And then, we had guys on the team too, right? Like, as I said, there's only 10 starters, but you have 30 guys on the team. So some of those guys were just there to be partners, there to help out, there to serve others. Some of those guys were, killing it in school, getting 4.0s and, doing big things. And they had their own role on the team. And then, some of the guys were just fun to be around and positive and stuff like that. So I think there's a wide range of people. And that's part of what makes our program really special too is, we have a range and we have people, everybody has their role and their part, and I think everybody embraces that as well. And at the end of the day, everybody gets a ring.
Yeah.
When I was in school, we were 4 for 4 on national championships, and it didn't matter if it was me and Jason and Anthony, guys that were winning, or guys that never wrestled a match. Like we all got a ring and we all had our part.
That's right, man. It takes all kinds, like
it does.
You got to know in life, you got to know your role.
Yeah.
Like where you fit. And
it made me appreciate my teammates a lot.
Yeah.
Because I felt very supported and very loved by those guys. And, the guys that I spent the most time with were the guys that we were traveling and competing together. But I feel like everybody on the team I was super close with, and I still keep in touch with a lot of guys that weren't the winning the national championship or stuff like that. And then, but a lot of those guys would get like one opportunity here or there to like come in and start a match when there was an injury or something like that. And
probably
it was
fun
like
to watch them.
Yeah, it was a cool moment for them. And a lot of guys, should shock people. They would win and, compete really well just because they had been around the coaches and been around us and kind of like soak that up. And I think almost like surprise themselves. But that all to be said is like every single guy on the team, like I really loved, and I think everybody really embraced their role. And that's why part of why the team is as good as it is. Like, you have the guys at the top, but you also have all these unseen like supporters of them that are really, almost just as important.
It's a very interesting, I guess, parallel to life is like we said, like just acknowledging and accepting your role in society and who you are, like what you align with. Everybody sees nowadays, again, they'll watch you. And we talked about, again, last time, they'll see a motivational video about you and be like, I want to be Bo.
Yeah.
You're not Bo, and you don't do what Bo does to become Bo. So you should probably just understand that a little bit better and be happy with where you're at. Like, you don't have to be in a wrestling room the star, the top of the top. You're just as important being the next guy up that does, like you said, makes you feel good being in the wrestling room, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone that I would like to like shout out for that is Donovan Ball, because he was behind AB for 4 years.
Right.
Like right behind him, wrestled off against him 4 times, and now he's AB's training partner.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot to be a training partner. Like, not that from my own personal experience, because I never wrestled or anything, but I mean, I see it every single day. Like, that other guy that you're wrestling against is just as important as you are.
For sure. You're Bo's media partner. You're his partner, and I mean, as like, you know, it's obviously different, but you push him and keep him moving in ways that he can't do it to himself.
Right, and that's like that's the point of having partners in everything in life, right? But in sports, probably the most easy to identify, just because teammates and stuff. We all grow up playing sports, but yeah, I mean, it's important to have that extra push, because you know, when you feel like you can't give any more, like that's their job, is to give you that one more.
Right.
Make sure you work a little bit harder.
Yeah. And it's just, I think you could just build like really deep relationships with people like that are in there with you. I think as men, you can only get that closeness with each other if you're like going to battle with each other. Right. Yeah. Like I think, you know, back in the day, it was like the guys you actually went to war with, right? Like, those were like relationships were formed, and you just depend on each other and care about each other to a different level. And I feel like for me, it's that same relationship was formed in training and sacrificing and just like absolutely like killing ourselves in pursuit of a goal, right? And it wasn't always the guy that got the goal, but it was the supporting role. Like you mentioned Donovan, like when I saw, so I was in Aaron's corner at the Olympic trials finals, and he won, and Donovan was like right there, and he was like crying, like so happy, and he was just like, I was like, dude, you freaking like did such a good job like helping prep him and get ready. And he's like, dude, we've been talking about this for years. And that's so cool to see. Like Donovan was an amazing high school wrestler, and then to see him like how close he was with Aaron, and to support him, and to now see like Aaron get that goal. It was like they really did it together, and you could see that love for each other, and that's just something that's really special. And again, I don't think that you can get that by like hanging out and watching TV and watching the game with each other. Like you gotta like go sacrifice with each other, and that doesn't mean you have to like whatever that is, right? Like it could be pursuing a business, it could be just working out at the gym, it could be whatever, but like just like actually be in the trenches, like figuratively with each other.
Yeah, figuring shit out. I got my guys in the trenches over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're locked in.
You just build a deeper relationship.
100%. Yeah, you do. It's things you go through things together, and you're just like, you know, you're way closer on the other side, and they feel pride when you feel pride, and when you accomplish things, they accomplish things. It's a really good feeling. Speaking of wrestling, who, aside from yourself, is the best wrestler in the UFC?
That's a great question. No, there's a lot of really, really high level wrestlers in the UFC. I think that, you know, you can answer that question 2 different ways. You can answer it from a perspective of wrestling within the cage, like within MMA, or just pure wrestling. So you mean like wrestling in MMA?
Whose wrestling has transitioned the best into the cage?
That's a good question. I would say a couple guys that I respect a lot, their skills at wrestling. Merab, great wrestler. Obviously, you know, his last fight with Cejudo, he showed how good his wrestling was within MMA. You know, I think that his pace, cardio is elite, and so you know he's been able to really dominate with his wrestling specific style. And you know, one of his teammates as well, Aljamain Sterling, like incredibly good wrestling within MMA, had a dominant performance against a really tough guy in Calvin Kattar at UFC 300, and you know he's an underrated guy in my opinion. I think that Islam has really high level wrestling. You saw that in his fight with Poirier. His wrestling is interesting because it's very specific to MMA. Like the way he wrestles probably wouldn't translate as well into the sport of wrestling, but it's super, super effective in fighting, you know, putting guy on the cage, trips, different stuff like that. And so I mean, all those guys are guys that I think are elite level MMA wrestlers.
I was thinking like Islam in my head too, like just such a dominant wrestler in the cage, and
yeah.
I wouldn't know if it would transition or translate over that well into like a folk style wrestling, but it's just, what does it matter at that point? You know,
Yeah.
and I think somebody in one of your documentaries mentioned about you, the reason your wrestling transitions or translates over super well is because you were always known to be a pinner. Like, you're not just winning matches 3-2, you're pinning dudes. You're holding them to either the ground or now to the cage. Like, they have zero chance of survival once you get on top of them. That's a different type of wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. It's to me, the most important thing in MMA, right, is the control aspect of it. Like, you can get 100 takedowns, and if the guy just pops back up, all you're doing is wearing yourself out.
Yeah.
But if you can get a guy on the ground and, you know, you have that mental factor of that he knows he's not getting up, and, you know, he's scared to even try to do anything, that's just a massive game changer. And for me, yeah, my wrestling style definitely lends to that. And I think that then since I have that, it's just figuring out ways to implement it and be creative and tie that into like a new sport, right? Because while a lot of the techniques translate, you have to like make little micro adjustments in order to make them like the most effective they could be for MMA, right?
Yeah, right.
Like putting a guy against the cage, being able to trip him, pull him down, or you know, once you get on the ground, like just being able to lock hands or being able to like then threaten submissions, things like that. You're just kind of, that's the fun part of me. That's the fun part to me about the sport, is that I get to be creative and figure new things out, right?
Yeah. And apply them based on like how you want to apply
right.
them.
And I think that something that some wrestlers forget when they go into a fight is that it's a fight.
Not a wrestling match, yeah.
Yeah. And even they're not necessarily even just trying to wrestle, but what I see a lot of guys doing is they're trying to like do techniques. Like they're trying to like do a combination. It's like jab, cross, low kick. And it's like, dude, this is a real fight. It's not choreographed dance.
Yeah.
And I think that comes back to training and the way that people train. You know, it's important to hit pads and to have good technique, but it's more important to like have high fight IQ and be able to put yourself in good position, right? Because once you're in good position, you can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter whether you throw a left hand, whether you throw a kick, whether you shoot a takedown. Like, if you're in the right position, you can use whatever offense you want to use. But yeah, what I see people do that at least wrestlers that I've noticed is they're so new to the striking and stuff. It's like they forget that they're in a fight, and they're like, all right, they're trying to like do a technique instead of just fight.
Well, that's why like I watched the bare knuckle fighting, and that shit's so much fun. Cause
Yeah,
it's not that technique goes out the window, obviously, but these dudes are just brawling.
It's a fight.
I think about, you know, like a Mike Perry, right? Like, was a good UFC fighter, contender, was never a champ, but was always just a savage of a guy. And now you see him about to fight Jake Paul. Like, what do you think about that fight?
That's going to be interesting, man. I think that
And I know you're in Jake Paul's corner, so you can't say much. But
no, you're good. I think that one, I'm just super excited about it because I like both those guys. Both those guys put on a show every time they compete. Mike Perry, I think, as you said, found his that's his sport. Bare knuckle boxing is Mike Perry's sport.
So
like
crazy,
he
man.
owns it.
Yeah.
It's just perfect for him. And so, you know, they're obviously going to be wearing bigger gloves, and now it's a professional boxing fight, so it's more of a sport. It's a little different, and that, you know, definitely lends itself to Jake and his style. But I do believe like Mike's going to bring it like 100%. That's just his nature. So, you know, it's going to be exciting. And I think Jake, obviously, he's got more professional boxing experience. He probably has a little better technique. He's a little bigger. So, you know, you have to give the nod to him, but you know that Mike is just like a fighter through and through. So you never know. It's going to be crazy.
Are you going to train with him, with Jake?
No. I trained with him a little bit once when he was getting ready for Diaz. But I didn't do much other than that. It was fun though. We had a good time, and I mean, I definitely would train with him again. It just doesn't really like help either of us that much.
Yeah.
It did with Diaz because, you know, he's an MMA fighter. He's got like a different type of style. I'm a southpaw. He's a southpaw. Both longer, but for the most part, it's like we're not really prepping for that type of opponent. But if he were to do an MMA fight, I would 100% help him out.
I saw that you mentioned you would fight. You would help train Logan Paul.
Yeah.
He's got a great base, that dude. I mean, was he a D1 wrestler?
He wrestled, I think, at Ohio for a little bit, and he wrestled a lot in high school. Like, he was pretty, you know, good high school wrestler. But yeah, I think both those guys are super athletes. You know, they've shown their skills, you know, across multiple disciplines. You know, within obviously wrestling, boxing, professional wrestling. And so I think that the more eyes it gets on the sport, the better. And
Hell yeah.
those guys bring tons of eyes. So if they were to like ever get pro fights, I would definitely help them. Yeah,
Dude,
and I guarantee you they would win too.
Yeah, training under you, I would assume they do pretty well.
Yeah.
Speaking of fights, when's your next fight?
So I don't have anything booked, nothing signed, but I'm working on November MSG. So that'll be crazy. Yeah.
Who do you want?
Whoever, man, don't really matter. At this point, I just want to fight on the biggest cards and the most exciting events, and really just want to keep making steps up. So, Cody Brundage was my last fight. I would like to fight somebody better, somebody, more accomplished, better record, and just keep stepping up every single time. And then, but it really doesn't matter to me. I just am excited to go out there and compete. I would love to compete a little earlier than that, but I'm helping guys prep for the Olympics and stuff, and get ready for their competitions. And so, we're pushing it back to November, but it's all good. I'll just have more time to train and prepare and develop.
No one you want to call out right now?
Nah, the call out thing is like, I'm getting called out every other weekend, so it's like it doesn't really.
Why
make sense
wouldn't
to me.
they call you out at this point?
Everybody's just calling me out, and it's interesting to me. To me, what it says is that they want to fight me now. Like, they don't want to fight me in a year. They don't. These guys that are in the top 10, top 5, top whatever. Like, they don't want to fight me after I've got like some experience under my belt. They want to catch me early, and get their make their, hopefully in their mind, make their record look a little bit better. Get my name under their belt. But for me, it's all about development, improving, getting better. And those fights will come, right? Like I said, I'm young and I'm going to keep winning. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And the call outs are funny to me. It's like, these guys got 20 fights and a decade of MMA experience, and they're calling out me that I've literally fought 3 times in the UFC, and I've been fighting professionally for 2 years.
Yeah.
It says something, right? It says like they're thinking about me, and they want to catch me now, but I'm going to do things on my own terms.
Exactly. It's only going to get worse for them from here, so they might as well try now.
For me, I think I can beat these guys, but I want to widen the gap.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to make it competitive at all. I do think that there's a lot of guys that I would fight right now that would be extremely competitive, and they would be tough fights for me to win. Like, there's guys that could absolutely beat me. And when I fight the best guys, I just want there to be a clear gap in skill and fight IQ and everything. And to the point where, it doesn't even look competitive. And genuinely, I'm not there yet. Like, I'm not going to go wipe the floor with the top 10 guys in the division right now, because I need to get better. But that's the goal, is like, when I get there, to just demolish them and make it look like just a clear gap in skill. So that's my plan.
You have such a perfect blend of like humbleness and confidence. You speak with such conviction, but you're never talking smack about anybody else. You know what I mean? I try not to curse in front of Bo. I get really nervous. I want to say he doesn't talk shit about anybody, but it's true. Like, you just know it in your words that what you're saying is very true. But you're also like, hey, look, this is just transparently how it is right now.
It's been interesting for me, because humility is something that's super important to me, because I feel like everything I have is a gift from God. And while I worked hard, I do feel like, again, this has all been given to me. The relationships I have, the position that I've been in, the people that have put effort into me, like, I would not be where I'm at without that, and especially without God. And I feel like, again, like, because that's so important to me, I want to emphasize that a lot.
Right.
And then I kind of juxtapose that with, I have a strong belief and confidence in myself. And it does like teeter back and forth, because on one hand, I'm like, dude, like, I'm going to be the freaking pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. Like, I have no doubt. Like, I'm grinding, I'm going to get it. And then on the other hand, I'm like, I'm really nothing. Like, God is everything. And this is all like a gift, and I'm so grateful and I'm so appreciative. So I really, I guess, struggle with that. So I appreciate you saying that you think I have a good balance, because it is a struggle for me at times. And I feel like since I've gotten into MMA, I get clipped out all the time, and they just catch the one part.
Yeah, I know.
They just catch the part where I'm like, I'm gonna do this and that, and I'm the best and this and that, and it's like, so that has been a little tough for me. So I almost just want to like not even go there, because for me, why I fight, that's just one part of the equation. And why I fight is because I love fighting. I feel like I've been blessed with ability and skill, and that I think God's called me on this path. And I'm just really appreciative and grateful for being able to do what I do, and for being able to go through the process. And I believe that all of this is just more than anything refining me as a man.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the goal is to just grow closer with God, and he's teaching me lessons from all of this. So if I have to take a loss or whatever his will is, then I'm good with that. Even if I don't reach my goals, if like that's his will, then that's perfectly fine with me. But I do feel like it is a struggle to balance it. And I think I just get clipped out a lot of like the confident part.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spread that message, because to me, again, humility is so important, and it's something that I think is missing in fighting. And I think that faith and being just like a good person and treating people well is not a like popular thing to say. Like most people in fighting, they want to hear the clip of, I kill everybody, I'm the best, blah, 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 this and that. And like for me, I'm like, I train really hard. I'm disciplined. I love what I do. I want to be an amazing husband to my wife, and I want to be an amazing father to my kid. And I want to grow closer in my relationship with God. Like that's more important to me than anything to do with fighting. But that's not like a exciting thing.
That's
to
not
say.
sexy enough
Exactly.
for the UFC crowd.
So for me, I almost don't want to say the other part, because I want to emphasize the part that's like, to me more important.
Listen, you got to do. I mean, if you're now, we talked about it before, like the aura you have around you, people don't even realize, or they don't know why they're so attracted. They want to hear more about what you have to say. And that is why, because you do lean on your faith. And at the end of the day, yeah, the confidence and conviction in yourself is great, but giving it up to a higher power, I think is very relieving for people, especially nowadays, to know that, okay, there are top level guys that still do believe in God, and they have this air to them that like, there's so much more out there and so much bigger than us. It's just, like you said, we're so humbled by the fact that we're all just human. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We got to give it back up to the Lord.
100%. Yeah. I feel like total gratitude and appreciation for every day for myself, for what I've, again, been given. Like, I don't really even know like how I've gotten to this place. Like, I think I could sum it up with a few things, but at the end of the day, it's really just God. And that's the message that I want to spread. Like, that's what I think is important, is whatever the media tells you, like, oh, you need this to be happy, you need that to be happy, you need to be this type of person, you need to be that type of person. Like right now, I feel like what's being really popularized is self-improvement, right? Like, let's cold plunge, let's sauna, let's meditate, let's do all this, let's go to a what are they called, the people that you talk to that you tell them your problems? A therapist. And
what are those dumb things?
Yeah. Let's go. Let's do therapy. Like I'm working on myself, and I love like where that's like coming from.
The intention behind that.
I love the intention, but I feel like people like just lean on God.
That's it, man.
Just go to church, read the Bible, like dive deeper into your faith, find out what that means to you. Talk to people that are strong in their faith. See, and then we all have problems, we all have issues and things that we want to improve on, but let's focus on like what's most important. At the end of the day, like there are battles going on that are worldly, right? There are battles that are going on that are spiritual as well. Mm-hmm. And that's the shirt that my wife got me. It's Ephesians 6:12, and it says,
our wars is not against.
Yeah. So it says our war is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and basically evil in this world, right? Like we're not at war with each other, right? Like I'm not at war with Khamazat. I'm not at war with these guys. Like what I feel like the real war is spiritual, and being able to, I guess, acknowledge that and accept that and then fight that battle is so much more important.
You have a lot of depth to you, man. Who would have thought? A lot of depth to this guy.
A lot of depth to that guy.
I get punched in the head a lot, but
you're still deep down. You got a lot in there. Man. But it's so cool watching you, man. Like I see you on Rogan's podcast, and I'm like, I take a step back for you. I'm like, look at how much he's done. You got to talk to me through that. The entire experience of being on Rogan.
It was nuts, man. So
your second favorite podcast, of course.
Absolutely, yeah, cool. Yeah. Number 2. Well, is that? I don't know if I count that. Yeah, I don't know if I count it, but for me, Nickels and Dimes is just chatting with the boys. I forget there's even cameras.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, dude, it was honestly super cool. It was something that was almost like a bucket list thing for me, and I did not expect it. It was similar to being in the UFC. Like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to like win the belt, and then Rogan's gonna have me on. And he was like, just DM me like, hey, you want to come on the show? And
He
I was
DM'd
like,
you personally?
Yeah. You know, it was actually really funny. So he's an archery hunter. I like hunting archery too. And he posted something about like this bow case that he had that was super sick. And I searched online for a while and I couldn't find it. And I was like, yo, what was that bow case you had? Because when you travel, like just keeping your bow protected is so important. And he never replied to me. And then he messaged me, hey, sorry, bro. I didn't ever see that message. But do you want to come on the show? And I was like, it's all good, dude. Yeah, yes.
Nah, I don't know, man. You dubbed me before.
Like, dang, you dubbed me. So yeah, no, I'm good. But yeah, man, it was so cool. He was super awesome. Kind of toured me around his facility, which is amazing. You know, he's got the podcast set up, the studio set up, and then he's got like a massive gym and all kinds of cool stuff in there, and an archery range. And he was just a super cool dude. It was like you just sit down and we just talked for whatever 2.5 hours, and you know, it's funny because I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. Like I listen to all his pods and stuff. Yeah. And I wanted to talk, like I wanted to interview him, but obviously I was like, I can't do it because it's his pod and he's going to ask me about wrestling and fighting and this and that. And I was like, dang, I want to talk about like aliens.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny part. Like he got some cool stories out of you, like the Russian wrestler and like that. I love that stuff. Mm-hmm. I love that you told the same story you told on mine first. Yeah. With the jiu-jitsu school. Yeah. I thought that was really
same
cool.
One, yeah. And for some reason people are like cap and I'm like,
they said it on the clip that we have too. Like he's lying. Why would he lie about that?
It's just so dumb, man. Like that doesn't make any, I don't get that.
People just don't get it, but that is hilarious. So you got there. How good of a host, like did you expect him to be better or worse?
I didn't have any expectations. I was like, we're just gonna go hang out and talk. And that's what we did. He's super chill. It's not like, it's not like a big event. It's like, I rolled up to the studio. He got there like 5 minutes later and was like, all right, you ready to go? Or you want to see a tour? All right, show me around. And then we just sit down and talk. It's like very casual. He's super, down to earth. And I could tell that he's just got so much going on. He's such a massive part of culture. And like I couldn't imagine having that many people listening to you on a daily basis and that much influence. And I think he just handles it really well. He's super, like I said, down to earth, super cool. And I think we got to talk about some cool things. And I would love to go chat with him again at some point, just because we have a lot of common interests, fighting and hunting and, whatever else it is. Like it's just fun to talk to people that are really passionate about, the same stuff as you. And so, yeah, I mean, overall it was pretty sick. I would definitely, if anybody has the opportunity, I would recommend it.
Oh, really? Oh, no. I was actually going to pass. I was going to check my DM for Rogan, but nah, I'm good. Yeah. If you could do that again, what would you talk about instead?
I mean, I was totally cool to talk about wrestling and fighting because I love it. Yeah. Like, I love it. I just feel like I have so many other interests as well. And he's talked to so many smart people and so many in the know people.
You want to learn about that shit.
Yeah. Like I just want to learn. And I feel like, he's a guy that I love the open-mindedness, and I love how he's willing to talk to anybody and everybody and hear them out, whether he agrees or disagrees. And so I don't know, man. I think that if we have another conversation, I definitely want to talk more about aliens and what's going on with the aliens. And then maybe just like, I don't know. I like talking about hunting and stuff too, but yeah.
Hunting's fun.
Yeah.
We got a conspiracy theorist over here.
I'm into the conspiracy theories.
Joe, you got any, bro? Grab a mic right now.
I don't know what we haven't been to the moon, that's for sure.
You hear that? Don't get shy now, bro. Where's your mic? I told you to get mic'd up.
Come for me, bro.
I told you to get mic'd for a reason.
Tell me about JFK.
Oh no, we gotta get the other guy back.
Yeah, we just had Julian on. Julian Doria. Podcast host, incredible guy, and he same kind of like guy like Rogan, just knows everything about everything. For some reason, I can ask him a question about anything in life, and he has an answer to it, and has like knowledge and facts based on whatever his research was. He's like a sponge like that. He hears something one time and he remembers it. I'm the opposite. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, buddy, because I'm thinking about 1,000 different things.
Right.
That's funny. Next time you're on, we're gonna talk about conspiracy theories.
Oh, heck yeah.
Write that down.
He broke down the whole JFK shit last time.
Did he?
Yeah, he did, dude.
But I didn't need all this evidence.
Nah, but you need it. You need it.
There's a good podcast on Spotify called I think it's just called Conspiracy Theories actually, but it's it just breaks a ton of stuff down, and there's all these different categories of like conspiracy theories, and the one that I just listened to is on the CIA, and this guy did a sculpture in front of the CIA with like a crazy code on it to try to break, and there's 4 parts to it, and people have like broke the first 3, but they can't figure out what the last one says. It's basically like a bunch of letters and stuff all jumbled up, but it's actually like a paragraph or a saying or whatever, and it was built in the 90s, and people still haven't figured out what the 4th one says because
Who built it?
I forget the guy's name, but he was some type of artist sculptor, and he basically used some cryptographers, I want to say, within the CIA to like create this code, and but a lot of people say there's like weird CIA secrets and stuff like embedded within it. So I don't know, but I think all that stuff's so interesting.
Joe, look that up.
I'm looking at it. I thought you were talking about like it was somewhere where like tablets showed up. You remember that?
Tablets?
I'll tell you what this.
I know what you're talking about with the tablets. I've heard of that before.
You know, it's crazy. Like, I've never seen that shit in my life.
Yeah.
They just showed up, almost like those big.
No.
It sounds like the CIA put this shit there.
But what does it say on it?
The tablets or this?
The tablets.
Oh, the tablets. It was like I don't know. It was like they were giving like a new 10 commandments. For the
You know
world.
what really turned me off the conspiracy theories was when in 2012 we were supposed to all die.
Oh yeah,
Because of the
And then
Mayans,
nothing happened.
and then like we didn't. And I'm like, okay, so everything else is a lie too, because you guys keep telling me that these. Or there was another time where the world was gonna blow up because of something in some sort of religion, and we were all getting burned. I forget what it was, and I was like, okay, well here we go. And the day happened, nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Or 2000 when like Y2K, it's all.
Well, that's what it says in Revelation. Nobody knows the day. You know, nobody is aware of it. So I don't believe in any of that. Like, oh, it's gonna be this date on this year. It's like nobody knows. You know, that's what it says, and I feel like we'll all be very surprised.
But we won't even know because it'll just
know.
it'll just happen.
No, it'll just
Yeah,
happen.
We'll
the
blink and be like,
rapture,
wait a
yeah.
minute, where are we? What do
Yeah.
you think heaven looks like?
I don't know, man. That's a great question. I feel like it's just. I don't know if you can see. I feel like it's just peace and joy and like your spirit, kind of like being with God, right? Like whatever. Have you ever felt a moment in your life where you're just like completely encompassed with gratitude and appreciation? You're just like, wow, like my life is like so good. Like I feel this a lot of times when I'm out in nature hunting, like if I'm way out there and there's nobody around and it's just incredibly quiet and I can just sit and look at a mountain or at you know, a lake or water or whatever it is, and it's just like, wow, like this is incredible. You know, I think that's what it is times a million, and it's just like it's just an eternity of that.
Nature really does it checks your reality to, like, again, if you're not a believer, that sensation, that feeling you feel is of complete bliss. Like nothing could worry you at this point.
Yeah.
And you don't even know how to explain
Right.
how that feels, and it's almost it is like a natural high.
You know what else? You know what the other thing that reminded me of is when I look at my son. He's like almost 6 months old now, and so he'll interact with me a little bit. And when he like smiles or giggles, nothing in the world matters. It's like the world stops turning.
Right.
And all I care about is like him. And it's such a unbelievable feeling. Again, just like so much gratitude and appreciation. And you know, it's kind of funny because I just mentioned hunting, but I was out in Alaska for a couple weeks, and I was hunting brown bear out there, and you know, at night I was like sitting in my tent, and I was just thinking about like how much I missed my wife and my son. Damn. And I was just like, I could almost cry, like just because
thinking about that.
Yeah. And it was like I'm in like such an amazing, beautiful country that nobody gets to visit. Like I don't even know the last time people were where I was. Like it's so far out there, and it's so awesome and fun, and I feel very like spiritually connected with God. And but then on the other end I was like, I just miss my family so much. Like I love them, you know. But yeah, I think that
Wow.
We all have something in our life that like gives us that feeling, right? And I think that there's a lot of things in our life too that try to like be that feeling, but it's fake. For example, like drugs, alcohol, you know, partying or whatever it is that like gives you that little fake high. But I think there are a few things in life that are like that genuine, real endorphin feeling that like are actually gifts from God. And for me, it's like being in nature and then being with my family or being with people I love, even just sitting around a fire, hanging out and talking or whatever it is. But or again, going into a fight, like when I go into a cage, I'm just like, whoa, let's go. This is I'm so grateful. And that's, I want to experience as much of that as possible. And I want all the people, everybody to experience that too. Cause I feel like a lot of people don't have that. I don't know, for whatever reason.
I'm not shitting on anybody. I think it's just because of society and how we're all set up. If you're set up and your structure and your schedule is, I'm going to go work a corporate job 9 to 5, you're very routine and nothing really changes. And you don't have time to sit back and think about, what do I really want to be doing in this exact? If you ask the average human being, like, what do they want to be doing right now? I don't think most people would really even know what would bring them that bliss like that, you know? And we're afforded, and I thank God every day for the structure of my life, right? We're afforded the ability to sit. It was 8:30 in the morning the other day, and I'm sitting there meditating. And like the fact that I get to do this is incredible. It's a blessing in disguise that most guys have to wake up and go to work today. You know what I mean?
And I think on the other end of the coin, it's like you can wake up and go to work, and you can do that with the purpose of, I'm just going to try to make enough money to survive and then hopefully get a raise and then buy a bigger house and then like, you know, drink some beers on the weekend, and like doing it for those like external worldly possessive things. Or, you know, you can work that same job that's maybe and enjoy the process of whatever service it is that you're providing the world, and at the same time like just be in tune with your relationship with God and your relationship with others. And I think that, you know, again, I'm as same as you, blessed to be able to like on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. like sit at home with my wife and baby and hang out. Yeah. But I don't think that if that's not for you, I think you can still find those things if you search for them. Yep. Most people, the problem is they're searching in the wrong place. They're looking at caffeine, or they're looking at, you know, nicotine, or they're looking at, sorry, Ronan.
And these guys, these bozos over here, they're all zinned up.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Everybody's zinning or drinking or doing whatever. And then it's like they want that. It's a little jolt of that feeling. And I think we all fall in this trap, dude. I do the same thing. Like, you know, with whatever it is, with trying to make more money or trying to do whatever, you know, and we all get trapped because, you know, at the end of the day, we all fall short, and none of us measure up, and none of us are perfect. But I feel like there's definitely people that try to trick themselves into thinking like this is it. Like, I'm going to this. Or pornography is a great example. Like, I'm going to this for release and for whatever it is. Like, that's something that the world says is going to make you happy, and at the end of the day, it's empty.
Yes, and I said, oh, dude, not because I'm a huge fan of porn. The opposite. I think no. Let me clarify, because I want to make sure everybody out knows that I'm not saying, man, I love porn. I think it is literally the demise of this generation and the generation. Think about it, dude. I remember when I was 8 years old, typing in a Google like boobies, and I was like, what?
It's a lot of boobies.
I was like, I don't want to play with toys anymore. I want to play with those things.
Yeah.
And porn to that day, it changes everything about what you should be thinking when it comes to a relationship and women.
Absolutely.
And it falsifies everything. Like, even if you don't want to think about the deepness of it, like how it's really fucking up your brain, think about how it's messing up your game with women. Because you watch porn and you're seeing people that are stuck in dryers, and you pull them out, and now there it goes. That doesn't happen in real life. So you have to learn this game, but you're learning the game through a falsified lens. Yeah. It messes up everybody.
It's just too easy. It's like,
it's too easy.
It's not that easy to like go actually talk to a girl and, you know, make a connection. And I think that it's like, all right, well, why would I do that when I have 10,000 girls right here on my phone.
I can
So
literally,
bad.
I can Google the exact perfect women that I want
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, and then
it'll
I can
come
get a new one every day
It's
for
crazy.
however long, and I never have to work for it. But yeah, I think that there needs to be something done about that. And I actually met a really cool guy who is working on some legislation to basically make porn illegal for people under the age of 18 or 21. I can't remember. It was, but
like they've always tried
for
that.
minors. But yeah, like he's actually like working on it and meeting with people, and like I think that it should be banned. You know, like I don't think anybody should be watching it.
I agree.
But I understand. But absolutely, you know, minors who are developing and their brain is that's where it starts, right? And so I know that there's a few states that have like gone through with it. Where,
Jersey, I think, is
yeah,
actually
well, he's
pushing
from
for.
Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, I think if you,
Yeah. So
not
the
that I
guy
would
that's
know,
the-
friends with friends, if you go
Yeah.
on porn sites right now, it says you're not allowed in this porn site unless you're 18 above.
Right.
And I know that they used to do it, but I think they're really trying to crack down here.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that it's something that's important, and it should. I mean, it should be everywhere. That's what it should be. It should. I mean, I don't think it should be thought of any differently than alcohol or anything like
It is
that.
a
It's doing the
literal
same stuff to
drug.
your
It
brain.
ruins young men.
Oh my God. I
It
mean, you want to talk about-
absolutely ruins people.
Hyperfixation. Talk to a 13-year-old that just found boobs for the first time. That he's not thinking about anything else but that website.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. And I actually don't watch. I really try not to anymore. And I went a full month not watching.
Nice.
And what it did for me, thank you. What it did for me as a man and like talking to women, I was never that smooth in my life. Because
Right.
now I'm like, oh, I got a hunt to kill. I'm gonna go hunt.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I can't find that fixation
Right.
just by typing into my phone.
Yeah.
You just move a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like it's just it's one of those things that can just you can get trapped in, and it's been so normalized. And
Yeah.
even like with like I get nervous for my son because I kind of missed the how old are you? You're 20?
Your age.
Your same age.
Yeah.
So the people that are like 3 years younger than us, I feel like they had phones 3 years earlier,
Yeah,
right? So they had
too
phones
early.
that like I think my first. How old were you when you had a phone? When you got a phone?
I want to say I don't know if I was in middle school. Was I in middle school?
I
Probably
feel like
middle
I
school,
was
right?
like 7th grade or 8th grade.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I had a flip phone.
Flip phone or whatever. Like
Sixth grade,
smartphone,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like 8th grade, 9th grade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so whatever that is, like let's say 13, 14. So like the kids below us were like 10.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's
when they
too
got
young,
phones, so
man.
they were really young. And so I kind of missed like I didn't even have a Facebook or an Instagram until I was a sophomore, junior in high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, I feel like the people that are just a little bit younger than us, they got it so much worse. And now I'm thinking about my son, and sometimes I'll be on my phone and he'll be like sitting with me and he's like, he's locked in on my screen. And I'm like, whoa, like that's so weird.
Get out of here, bro.
Yeah. I'm like, I just want to like completely eliminate that from his life.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that at the end of the day, like you're not gonna be able to eliminate it forever, but I do feel like the net result of phones for most people is probably negative because of the stimulus and because of, you know, like I said, the trying to chase things that are just so vapid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short-term pleasure instead of, you know.
Right, correct.
What'd you say?
It's like illegal crack piping.
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. It's a good
And
way
it's
of
so
putting it.
normalized, right? Like I think that there's certain things that are very looked down upon. Like if you're a meth addict, people are like, whoa, like
Yeah.
what's this guy? That's insane. And but if somebody has 6 hours of screen time, it's like, well, that's pretty normal.
You see my story the other day?
No. it was-
10 hours.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Dude, what
I'm
are
an
you
addict.
doing?
what am I at? I probably am at a lot today
Yeah.
because
I'm an addict,
because I was on
guys.
the phone with yeah, it's not good.
Well, listen,
2
like,
hours and
day-
56 minutes.
Days
and-
like this are normally better. I can't look. I do have an addiction, but when it's out of my sight, out of my mind, which is good, I put
Yeah.
it away, and it allows me to be present, like in these moments, have great conversation. But yeah, man, I try. It's so numbing. Like
Right.
the dopamine hits of, like we said, porn, or even just the addiction of talking to people on your phone,
Yep.
the notifications. I just got to put it away sometimes and
Yeah,
live
be
life
done.
now, or else I'm done for.
Yeah, that was so. I keep bringing up that Alaska trip, but that was one of my favorite parts of it. The worst part was being away from my family, but one of the best parts was that I had zero service, like
That's so
nothing,
cool, man. I
Like,
wish.
And so I was just, out there like doing my thing. And it sucked because I couldn't text my wife, but
That does suck.
I was like,
But you probably missed her.
I'm
Like,
here.
you know what I mean? I
missed
think it's a
her
good
ton,
feeling
yeah.
to miss her.
No,
man.
it was
Like,
good. It definitely, when I got back, it's like what they say, distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? And so I felt a lot of gratitude to see her again and see my baby, but being out without any connection to the internet or whatever it is freaking cool, dude. After a couple, it was weird at first, but then after a day, I'm like, this is amazing.
I can't help but think about when I think of Alaska are those TikToks where it's just like weird Alaskan people. I'm like, we're Alaskans. They look like they're mutating from like alien. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that how they are over there?
Yeah. I don't know what
Weird.
you're talking about from TikTok, but I know what you're talking about from being in Alaska for a little bit.
You
Yeah.
dealt with it firsthand.
Yeah,
You were like,
bro.
oh, these people are
it's a different kind of person that's up there.
out of this
You just
world,
have to be.
humans.
Well, they pay people to move up there.
They
So,
do, yeah.
like,
They give you land and money and stuff
Yeah.
to just
I
live
know,
up there.
I have to find out we're Alaskan.
And also like straight daylight sometimes. It's
Yeah.
straight night.
Yeah, so when I was
of course. Oh, I have to show you this.
So when I was hunting, it got dark around midnight, and then it got light again at like 4 a.m. Yeah, so it was light the whole time.
We're Alaskans. Of course we don't know what darkness is.
We're Alaskans. Of course we're going to stay up past midnight, but complain about it in the morning.
have you seen these humans?
We're going to be pushing whenever we get the
But
chance.
they're probably where I was. I was in.
Alaskans, of course
They
we're
look kind of like that. So yeah, I think they're just like those dudes. They're just might be tweaking a little bit.
Maybe they're on drugs, but they're also Alaskan. So
Yeah.
like, we can really can't.
Well, I know
we-
there's like a big problem out there.
Really?
Yeah, and
what
then
else do you do out there?
I don't know. And then I know the native people too. Like they have it's really rough on them genetically. Like they get addicted to substances and alcohol very easily. Like if they're those people weren't native Alaskans, but like the native, like what you would think of as like a
Like the movies.
yeah. Like there's a lot of those people out there, and they live in these little tiny villages of like 100 people or whatever. But they get they get addicted like super easily to stuff. It's just in their genetics.
It's so funny
Yeah.
because we talk about, wow, we could use the escape, and they talk about, wow, I could use some excitement in my life.
Right.
I don't have a phone, I can't really talk to anybody, but I need something.
I've
for
only
someone to
met
Yeah.
50 other people, and that's all
And
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, let's get away from Alaska and let's have some fun here. It's UFC championship night. You're walking out. Pick 3 people to walk out with from the world. Anybody?
Oh, I mean, my coaches.
No. Can't be anybody. Can't be anybody you would actually walk out
So
with.
not anybody that I would actually walk out with. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know, man. That's a great question. I've never thought about this. I would want to walk out with. You might have to like cut this and then read.
Don't worry about it.
Pratt.
Nobody that I know. Nobody that I actually
you
know.
can know them, but nobody in your fight camp.
Nobody that's like, okay, this is like actually cornering me.
Yeah.
Okay, because I would just pick my corner. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, probably Chris Pratt. I would probably pick along that same lines. I would probably pick Jocko
Oh.
and give me Donald Trump.
I was
baby.
about to say,
Give me
I'm so
Donald
happy you
Trump.
said that. I can't believe you didn't say that first.
Epic. Oh man. Well, I was thinking like he's probably already there. He's sitting.
No,
sitting
he's walking
cage-side,
out with
but
you
He's
today.
walking out with me.
He's
Oh,
walking out
let's
with you
go,
today.
bro. That'd be insane. Yeah. So before my last fight, Chris Pratt and Jocko came backstage and like said what's up to me. So Chris Pratt's like my favorite actor of all time.
I saw that video.
And, yeah, and he started working with Jocko Fuel and stuff, and I've been with them for a little bit, but yeah, bro. Anthony asked me, he was like, "Yo, is it cool if like they come down?" And I was like, "Yes, like I love these dudes." Yeah, so
That's so cool.
I'll go Jocko just for the military inspiration, just being a straight up badass, and then Chris Pratt's just awesome, high school wrestler actually.
Really?
Yeah, super cool dude, strong Christian, and then give me Donald Trump just for the epicness.
I mean, epic. What song you walking out to?
I always walk out to the same song. So I've had the same walkout actually since I was a freshman in college. So that's been like a decade. But it's Hand to God by John Bellion.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I got a guy to mash it up with Zombie Nation. So it starts out Hand to God, and then after like the first initial breakdown, it goes into Zombie Nation, which is like They play it at all the Penn State wrestling. When you get a pin at the Penn State wrestling matches, they play it. It's super dope.
Because of you?
No, they just have always done
they
that.
just happen
But
to be
I got a few of them, so I always like
You got
that
a couple.
song.
You
I
got
was
a couple
partial.
pins under your belt.
I was partial to that song.
Zombie Nation by who?
Oh.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I love that for a lot of reasons. One, John Bellion's like my favorite artist of all time.
That's so
and he's
sick.
coming out with new music soon.
Good.
I heard. So I've always walked out that song. I love it. And the timing of it's just so perfect. So it starts off kind of slow and I come out and like by the time I get to like the middle of the crowd, boom, the first drop happens. And then I walk up to like the cut man and the ref to check me for all my stuff. And then by the time I'm like walking up to the cage, like up the steps and turn around, boom, Zombie Nation hits. And I'm like, it's just
Man.
such great timing, bro. I love it. So
I
yeah,
can't. Well, November's gonna be a good time.
I know.
I'll be
yeah.
there.
Let's
I'm
go.
Front row.
Hell yeah.
Last couple questions here. Let's paint the picture. You just officially became UFC champion. You won. What does that night look like? Who you with? Where you going?
Dude, I don't know. So my initial plan, I'll say my initial plan, then I'll say a couple more possibilities. So my initial plan was just to like go crazy. Like it'll probably be in Vegas and
Let's go.
go to the club or whatever. And you know, I haven't drank in a long time. So I didn't drink while I was in college. I drank a little bit when I graduated. I took like a year and drank pretty casually and stuff, or celebratory, like at weddings and stuff. And then since then I haven't drank at all. So it's been probably like 3 years since I've had a sip of alcohol. And so I'll, you know, pop some bottles and stuff and maybe slam some Johnny Drinks whiskey.
Yo, not maybe.
Maybe.
Not maybe. That's a definite.
Yeah, but
that's a definite.
you know, so I think about like that was the original plan, right? Like, you know, just have some fun and stuff. And but what I've been doing lately, which I've been loving more and more, is just having everybody back to the Airbnb. Because to be honest, like I'm not like a club person. I'm not like a party dude. Like it's fun, the environment, but like I don't do that. And like I would probably much rather just like get like, I mean, what we've been doing is bigger and bigger and doper Airbnbs every fight. So by the time I'm like fighting for the belt, it's going to be like a crazy spot.
The last one looks sick.
Yeah. And probably have like, you know, 100, 200 people there or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Like my last one, there was like 70 people there.
Dude, it was nuts.
After. And
That's awesome.
we just hung out till like 3 a.m. and I bought a bunch of In-N-Out burger for everybody.
Let's go.
So I'll probably do that. Plus I'll just like maybe pop some bottles or something.
All right. Hopefully I'm there for that one.
Yeah, you'll be there. You'll be there.
That sounds
100%.
that sounds incredible. We have to go
100%.
eat some steak. Actually, speaking of, I want to
let's
know
go.
your favorite steak cut.
Tomahawk ribeye, medium
what we're gonna
rare,
try.
and you gotta finish it on a real wood fire. Get that nice crust.
Dude, they have such a good tomahawk here. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
starving.
Let's go. I just made one the other day. It was insane. So this guy that I'm buddies with, his name's Derek. He's like a chef. He gave me this spicy. It's a spicy spreadable salami. It's called Induja, and so I reverse seared it on the Traeger, and I put a bunch of this like spreadable salami over the top of it, and then I seared it. Bro, it was insane. I'll show you a picture. After,
need
but
that. I
yeah,
need
it
that
was
right
crazy.
now.
Yeah.
Hi, boys. This is a lot of fun. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining.
Appreciate
I
you.
appreciate you
Thanks
being
for
on
having
camera.
us.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Now, this is fun. Again, always excited to watch you, and appreciate you guys coming here.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
That's it for today, guys. Cheers. That's a wrap.